All right, so in this picture behind me, this is the men's 100 meter race, okay? Does anybody want to raise their hand and tell me who this person is? Who this person is in the yellow? Who wants to raise their hand and tell me who that yellow shirted person is? No? Well, this man, his name is called Usain Bolt, okay? And he is the world's fastest man, okay? Usain Bolt holds two world records, okay? So a world record is it is a record, okay? So it means that you have run a certain distance, the fastest that anybody in the world has ever run before. Okay, so he runs he holds two world records. One is the 100-meter men's races. Okay, men's 100 meters, and he ran that distance in 9.58 seconds. Okay, which is really fast. Okay, and then he also holds the 200 men's running as well. So he is a very fast man. Okay, so every 4 years there is something called the Olympics, and then in the Olympics, that's where all the countries come together and they send their fastest, their strongest, their most talented people to come together and do these sporting competitions. And one of the races that they do is called the 100-meter dash. Okay, the 100-meter race goes for exactly 100 meters. So if you have an oval in your school, usually the oval, if you run all around the side of the oval, is around about 400 meters. Okay, but if you run just one side of the oval, just the straight line down one side, that is around about 100 meters. Okay, so if you want to see how fast you are compared to Usain Bolt, maybe one day when you can go outside, then you can try to run 100 meters and ask your mom and dad to time you, okay? See if you can beat the world record, which is 9.58 seconds. Okay, it is very fast. So if you can beat the world record, make sure you let me know, okay? All right, so why are we talking about Usain Bolt? It's because today we are going to make a little bit of a racing game. Okay, we're going to make a game where you're going to fire off a gun, you go bang, and then you're going to watch some characters on the screen race from one side of the screen to the other. And then you are going to make it so that you never know who is going to win. It's going to be slightly randomized, but it's still going to be super action-packed. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we're going to change our backdrop. So let's go into Scratch. And then I was talking about a school oval before. So let's switch our backdrop by going down to the bottom. So that was really fast. So you move your mouse all the way down to the bottom right-hand corner, and it says choose a backdrop. Okay, choose a backdrop. And then we click it. And then we want some place that looks like a school oval, like the back of a school oval. And then we want it so that we can race from one side to the other. Okay, so I'm thinking playing field looks really good. Okay, playing field is going to be good if you want to use a playing field. If you want to use a hay field, that's also good. A field at MIT, that's also good as well. Okay, so I'm going to use playing field. So now we have our cat who is getting ready to run in the playing field. Yes, you've got a question?
Yeah. I just wondered, are you also allowed to do a soccer court?
Yes, you can. You can do a soccer court as well. So you can make it so that it looks how you like. All right. So we start off with a soccer field, and now this time, what I want you to do is I want you to click twice. Okay. So you see the arrow of my my pointer. When I click on, oops. When I click on Sprite 1, it's going to flash up with this cat, okay? You see how the border of the cat flashes? Okay, that's something really important. We're going to make sure you know how to check the border all the time, okay? To check to make sure you have the right thing selected. But before we do any coding on the cat, we are going to do some code on the backdrop. So we haven't done the backdrop before. So we click on the backdrop, and then you're going to see on the top right corner, there's a little version of the backdrop. Okay, because we're going to add some code on the backdrop. Okay, so after you've clicked on the backdrop, then we go into events, and then we want when flag clicked. When flag clicked. Now this is going to be what's going to tell our characters in the middle of the field when it's time to reset the game. So make sure you have your flag, when flag clicked on the backdrop. So you have a picture of the backdrop in the middle here. And then inside events, we wanted to go broadcast a message. But instead of broadcasting message 1, like down here, you click on this arrow, and then you go new message. So you go broadcast, instead of message 1, you go new message. And then this message is reset game. Reset game. Make sure you practice your typing skills as well. R-E-S-E-T is reset, and game is G-A-M-E. Then we press OK. After we go reset, broadcast reset game, we drag it onto the flag. Okay, going good so far. We don't have any questions. That's good. If you have a question and I'm in the middle of saying something, then try to hang back, and then I will try to answer you as soon as I can. All right, so now we have the nice and easy part done, okay? So now we are going to press on the cat. See, when you press on sprite 1, you don't have the backdrop in the corner anymore. You have the cat in the corner, okay? Now, I want you to drag your cat onto the side of the screen, just like that, okay? So drag it by pressing the mouse and then pulling it all the way to the side, like that. That is how we are going to make sure that the cat starts at the start of the screen. And then we want to make it so that it starts in this starting area every time it hears the reset broadcast. So down here, down in events, you say, when I receive reset game, see, when I receive reset game, you drag that over here. Okay. Now, when the backdrop says to reset game, then the cat is going to hear it when it says, when I receive reset game. Okay. When I receive reset game, I'm going to go to this position. So I go to motion up the top. I scroll all the way up to the top. And then I go to X, Y. Go to X, Y. And it's got two numbers in here. You just leave those numbers the same. You go to X, Y. Let's make sure that the cat is all the way up the top here before you drag it in. So if you didn't drag your cat up the top, then have a look at those numbers. It should be minus 100 and something, and Y is around 30 something. Okay, it doesn't have to be absolutely precise, but you don't have to enter those numbers if you've already dragged your cat to the top. Okay. All right, now we're going to keep broadcasting lots of messages in this game because this game is quite complex. Okay, so now I need another event. When this sprite is clicked, okay, when this sprite is clicked, what am I going to do with this cat when I click it? I'm going to make it so that we start the game, we start the race. Okay, so when this sprite is clicked, we're going to broadcast another message. So here we have broadcast reset game, but we don't want to reset the game again when we click on him. We wanted to change the message to a new message. And this message is start race. Okay. So you go into broadcast reset game here, but instead of reset game, we change it to new message, and then we call it start race. Like I said, if you're missing any of the lesson, if you're struggling to type and catch up, then don't worry, because I'm going to save this video and then you can watch it for the next week, okay? So we go start race, S-T-A-R-T, space R-A-C-E, and then we go okay. So when this sprite clicked, we broadcast start race. And to make it broadcast start race, we go broadcast down here, and then we click the arrow, and then we go new message, and then you type out start race. All right. When this sprite is clicked, we broadcast start race. And now we're going to handle what it does when we do start the race. Okay. So when we go, when I receive reset game, we change it to when I receive start race. When I receive start race. Then I drag when I receive start race over here. Then we are going to do all our code for running down here. Okay. All right, before we add our code for running, we're going to add a finish line to our game. Okay, so this is the code for the cat. You can see that we have the cat selected. We have the cat on the top left here, top right here. And we have these coding blocks, okay? Make sure you 100% have when I receive reset game, we go to this area, XY. When this sprite is clicked, we broadcast start race. And when I receive start race, that is blank so far, okay? All right, to add the finish line, we're going to go to add a sprite. So you go choose a sprite. And then I want you to type line. So it's L-I-N-E, line. And then this is the red line that we have to choose. Click on the red line. But the red line is going sideways. We don't want it going sideways. We want it going up and down. So make sure you have the line selected, and then you click on direction. Click on direction, and then you drag the arrow so that we rotate it all the way down, like that. And then we can now drag the line onto the side here. That way we have a finish line and we have a cat. Okay. So make sure you have the line, you dragged it so that the direction is facing up and down. So you click on the line and then you click on direction and then you drag it around by dragging this, this direction arrow. Okay, so now we have the line, finish line, and then we have a cat. All right, now we go back to the cat. Click on the cat. When I receive start race, what do I want the cat to do? Well, what I want the cat to do first is we want to make it go back to the starting position. So to go back to the starting position, remember we already made it. When I receive reset game, we go to the starting position. So when I start the race, I have to broadcast reset game. So you go into events, and then you go broadcast reset. We don't. Yes, we go broadcast reset game. That way, when I click on this, click on the cat, we also go back to the start position. Okay. When we go to the start position, now we're going to race. We're going to go and give it a forever loop. So we go into control. And then we give it a forever loop. And then in this forever loop, we want it to take a step every 0.1 seconds. Okay, so we go wait 0.1 over here. So go into control. There is a wait something seconds. So you change that, whatever that number is, to 0.1. So the point is the dot on your keyboard. So look for a dot on your keyboard. So we go wait 0.1, and then we drag it inside the forever loop. Drag it inside the forever loop. And then we are going to go make it take a step forward. So we go into motion, and then we go change X by 10. But instead of 10, we change it to 5. Change X by 5, and that's in motion. So every 0.1 seconds, it's going to move forward by 5 little points, okay? Going well so far? Going nice and slowly so that everyone can follow. Because this class is for 7 to 9-year-olds. There's going to be people who are towards 9 years old, and there's people closer to 7 years old. So some people are going to struggle with typing. So that's still no problem. Make sure we follow as close as we can. All right, so the next part. After we have moved our step by 5, we need to make sure that we stop the race once we reach the end, okay? Once we reach the end, we need to be able to stop the race and make sure that we don't run anymore, okay? So this is what we're going to do. So we go change X by 5, and then we're going to go and put an if block inside the forever loop. So go into control, and then we want to do an if then block. So this one here, if then. See it? If then. And then we drag it so that it's just after change X by 5. If we are touching the line, then we stop the race. That's the whole idea, is we go, if we touch the line, then we stop the race. So we go if, and then inside this hexagon, we need sensing, because that's where we sense if we touch the line. We go sensing. It says touching mouse pointer, but we don't want touching mouse pointer. If we want touching line, so touching, and then you hit the arrow, and then we choose line, and when we put that inside the hexagons. If we're touching the line, then we're going to broadcast another message to say that the race is over, okay? So if we're touching the line, we're going to broadcast another message. If you know how to do the broadcast already, then you can skip ahead and start doing the broadcast. But after we touch the line, we have to do 2 things. We have to say we're broadcasting that the race is over, and then also we're going to have our cat say, I won the race, okay? So if we are touching the line, we go into events. So scroll back to events, or you can press the yellow button to go to yellow blocks to go to events. When it's touching the line, we broadcast, but instead of broadcasting reset game, we're going to broadcast new message. Okay, we're going to broadcast another new message. Broadcast, instead of reset game, we're broadcasting a new message, and this new message is race over. Okay, to tell all the people who are racing that the race is over. And then we press OK. Okay. Now it's got broadcast race over is now on the left-hand side here. We drag it to inside when it touches the line. And then lastly, the second thing we need to do when we touch the line is we say that the race is over because we already have a winner. And then the second thing is we have to get our cat to show that he's happy. So we go into looks, scroll all the way up to looks, purple ones. And then we go say, I won, for 2 seconds. So you go say, I won for 2 seconds, and then we drag that onto here, broadcast the race is over, and then say, I won for 2 seconds. All right, so now I'm going to test my code. So when I click on my cat, it's going to start running across the screen. And then it touches the end, and then it says, I won, which is just perfect because that is exactly what we wanted cat to do. Any questions so far? If your cat is not running and touching the screen, touching the end and saying I won, then let me know. Yolanda, you have a question?
Yeah.
Is it working?
When it reaches the line, it just keeps on going and screaming, I won.
Ah, very good. So that is correct because there is one broadcast that we haven't handled yet. Do you know which one we haven't handled?
To stop?
That's right. So that's the race over broadcast. So we are going to do that afterwards. So after you after it runs off the edge, then you press the flag again, and then it will go back to the start. And then we'll handle the race end. Okay. So now to stop the cat from keeping on running off the edge, you press the flag again to move it back to the start, and then we're going to continue on with our coding. Okay. All right, very good. Everybody's following very well today. I'm very, very, very impressed. Okay, because this is a very hard bit of code. There's a lot of code here. So now we are going to handle the broadcast for race over. So we're going to go to events. Go to events. And then we scroll down to when I receive reset game. But instead of when I receive reset game, we're going to handle the race over. So we're going to handle change reset game to race over. So we click on the arrow and then we go race over. So when I receive race over. And then we're going to start another new line of code. Okay. So when I receive race over, we have to put it on a completely new line over here. What are we going to do when we receive race over? Very, very simple. We're going to control. Okay. And then I go stop instead of stop all, but instead of stop all, we click on the arrow and we go stop other scripts in this sprite. Okay. So stop is in control. Stop, instead of stop all, we stop all other scripts in this sprite. So a script is one of these lines of code, okay? So this is a script. When I receive reset game, this is another script, this is another script, okay? So we want, when the race is over, to stop everything from working, okay? And that way we tell the sprite to stop what you're doing, the race is over. So make sure we go stop all other scripts in the sprite and then drag it to when I receive race over. So now, when I start the race, when I click on the cat, It's going to go run, 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 run. And then once it reaches this line, it says, I won, and it's going to stop moving. No problem. Very good, Ryan. All right. So now, before we add more people to the race, I want to ask everyone, what do you think will happen if I copied more of these cats down below? If I copied this exact cat down below, will you be able to what's going to happen if we copied this cat? What's going to happen if we copied this cat a few times? Yun, you haven't asked anything before. What do you think will happen if I copy the cat a few times?
If you copy the cat a few times, all of the cats will all say, I win, I win, I win.
That's right. So the problem, if I copy this cat each time, Yuan, that is fantastic, Yuan, by the way. If I copy this cat, then every single cat is going to run at exactly the same speed. All right? And that's going to be a problem for a racing game because it's not going to be very fun if all the cats are running at the same speed and going to the finish line and everyone wins at the same time, right? So who wants to have a go of telling me how I can make it so that the cats don't run at the same speed? Kevin, what's your idea?
To just change the speed.
Change the speed. Whereabouts do I change the speed, Kevin? Can you point out which script here do I have?
The weight thing.
Very good. So we got the change weight by 0.1 seconds here. And also we can change this, right?
Yeah.
The X value. Excellent work, Kevin. So Kevin is exactly right because when you're calculating speed, like how fast you're going, there's two things you can change, okay? The first thing is to change how fast you are going, how much time it takes to go somewhere, right? So the smaller the time, the faster you're going to get somewhere, right? The other thing is how much distance you cover each step, right? So the bigger step that you take, the faster you're going to get there as well. So there's distance and there's time. And both these things you can change to make you go faster or slower, okay? So for our code, we're going to try and make it so that instead of going a fixed distance, we're going to randomize the distance so that it's not going to go at a fixed length of time all the time. So you have to look at Usain Bolt over here. He can go a huge amount of distance with every single step, right? But he doesn't take that same distance of a step every single step, right? It's not like a machine where he goes, okay, I'm going to take exactly a 2-meter long step each time, right? Sometimes he goes a bit further, sometimes he goes a bit shorter, sometimes a bit further, but mostly he's going further because he's the fastest man on earth, right? But a lot of normal people, you take a step and it's not necessarily the same as the other step. So we're going to make it a little bit random, okay? So let's have a look at this. So to make it random, all we have to do is change this part here where it says change X by 5. What we're going to do here now is we're going to randomize it, okay? So we're going to go into randomize it. Who wants to tell me how we do random? How can we do a randomization? Who wants to raise their hand and have a guess? Maybe somebody who's been to one of the trial classes, they can tell me. No? That's okay. So random is in operators, okay? I know it's a little bit hard, this one. Random is in operators. And for random, I want you to go pick random 1 to 10. But instead of 1 to 10, we want to change it to 1 to 5. That way, sometimes he'll take a step that is only one pixel in distance, and sometimes he'll take a step that's 5 pixels in different distance. Okay. That way we can make it so that sometimes he goes a little bit further and sometimes he goes a little bit shorter. So we go pick random 1 to 5. And then we replace the change x by 5. Okay. Now, when we click on our cat, you're going to notice that sometimes he's going to take bigger steps and sometimes he'll take smaller steps. So you press on the cat. Here we are. Sometimes it takes bigger steps and sometimes it takes smaller steps. And you'll notice that, that he'll move to the red line a little bit slower than before, because before we were making sure he was taking a length of 5 pixels every single step. But now he can take much longer than that. Sometimes he'll take a step of 1 pixel instead. And that means that he's going to move a lot slower than he was going to move before. We are almost ready to run this race. Okay, so oops, I've clicked on the cat again and it's gone all the way back to the start. And then he's going to run all the way to the line. Now we are going to add some animation now to the cat, because one of the things is that the cat right now is looking like it's frozen, right? And it's just moving and it's frozen. But now we want to make it look like it's moving his arms and legs a little bit. So how do we change it so that it moves his arms and legs a little bit? We're going to look at his costumes, okay? So let's have a look at our costumes. So we have that cat selected. We click on costumes and then you'll see there's 2 costumes already. One with the cat like this and the other one with the cat like this. So it's slightly moving, right? So we want to make it so that the cat is switching between these costumes over and over and over again. Okay, so let's go back to our code. And then who wants to tell me how we make it so that the cat is switching costume? Which block do we use for switching costume? Ethan, haven't heard you before. How are you doing, Ethan? How do we change a costume?
You press in the looks.
Press in the looks.
And then you can see switch costume to cat B or the next costume.
Good, very good. So while you're on the microphone, Ethan, where should I put next costume? If I want to switch it to the next costume, where on my script do you think I should put it?
Maybe like after change X by pick random 1 to 5.
Fantastic. Excellent work, Ethan. Well done. So if you heard what Ethan said, this is his suggestion. We go add next costume, this block here inside looks. We go next costume, put it inside change X by the random, and then we put next costume in directly after it. And now when we click on the cat, it's going to make a little bit of a hopping motion all the way to the finish line. And now it's looking more interesting because the cat is moving, it's not frozen, right? And how long is he going to take? Yeah, he says, I won. Okay, so now we are going to press the flag. Make sure you press the flag and don't start the race, okay? Because we're going to now copy all this code on another cat, okay? But we don't want to spend all that time copying one block after another, after another, and after another. It's like, this is the hard way, okay? We could just go choose a sprite, and then we can make sure that the cat is selected, and then we move all the blocks, copy all the blocks. But I want to make it so that we just make it exact copy really quickly. How do I do that? Yuan, do you have an idea?
Yes. Maybe you could just don't copy all of them, just copy a little bit of them.
Well, that's a good suggestion, Yuan. But unfortunately, we need every bit of this code for all our races. Otherwise, they won't be able to do the race. So, Ethan, what's your idea? How can we make a copy?
You right click the mouse on the code, and there's a duplicate. There's duplicate, and you press it, and then you can put it on another character.
Excellent, Ethan. Well done. So Ethan is right. So all you have to do is move your mouse pointer. You see my mouse pointer? Make sure we have the cat selected down here, and then we right click on this cat, and then there's a duplicate button that pops up. Okay, so we need to right click and then duplicate. Now, I know some people are on their using a trackpad on their computer. The right click button is either the click on the right corner, bottom right corner of your trackpad, or if you're using an Apple computer, you have to click with 2 fingers on the trackpad. Okay, make sure you can see this duplicate button pop up on the menu. Okay, if you can't see the duplicate button, let me know. Raise your hand right now. All right, watch me do it. Okay, so we go right click and then we go duplicate. Now we have a second cat that is all the way out, but don't press a thing. Don't touch anything on that cat yet, because this is really important. Okay, this is really important. Don't touch the cat yet. What we need to do, don't touch the cat yet. We need to click on sprite 1. And then it says, go to XY, right? It says go to XY for when it resets game to -189.36 or whatever your numbers are. You click on the new sprite, sprite 2. You have to decrease that number, okay? Decrease that number to -80, the Y number. So go to X is we keep it the same, but Y, we change it to -80 for when resets game. Okay, make sure you do that before we go any further. Okay, but only for that new sprite. We go to XY and we change Y to -80. And that's the only difference for this cat compared to the other cat, because the other cat is going at whatever distance that is, whatever position that is on Y. But for this sprite, we want to make it so that it doesn't go to that exact same place, right? Otherwise, you won't see your runners separate out. So now we press the flag, and now we press on one of the cats, and then they're going to start racing. And you're going to see that if you play this race a few times, you'll see that it's not always the same cat that wins. Sometimes it's the cat on the top, sometimes it's the cat on the bottom. But only the cat that wins, because it touches the line, will say that it won, and it stops the race from continuing on.